So let's talk a little bit about formatting. Formatting is when you are changing the appearance of anything that you are working with. Now, we're not going to go through all of the formatting options that are available in Google Sheets, but I do want to cover a few of the basics. So most of your formatting options are going to be found up here along this toolbar, and we're just going to highlight a few of those as we go through this video. So one of the first things that you can do is format your text. So I want to work with this first line of text, which are kind of my headers for my data that I have here. So I'm going to click in this first cell, and then I'm going to highlight all of the cells here that have my header titles in them. And let's see what we can do with those. So you can change the font of those to something else. You can change the size. You could bold them. You could change the text color. You can change the background color within the cell. And so you can kind of edit those how you would like for them to look. Now, something happened when I changed the size of those headers. First of all, my rows adjusted to the size of those headers, but what didn't adjust was my columns. So I have all of this data and all of these headers, but I don't actually know what they are because it doesn't show me the entire word. So I can do a couple of things to adjust the size of a column. So first of all, I can go up here in between A and B, and I can click and I can just drag it until I get, the whole title showing. That's one way that I can do it. The other way is I can just hover in between two columns and double click, and it will automatically adjust it. Now, if I want to do it all at once so that I don't have to do each individual one, I can go up here into this little square here that's kind of in between my columns and my rows. When I click on that, it highlights my entire spreadsheet. And then I can just go and click in between any two columns, and it will automatically adjust all of the columns that I have to be the right size. Okay? Now, I am going to make this just a little bit smaller so that we can work with this just a little bit differently. So let me make it something like that. Okay, so now let's talk about rotating our text, because that can be very helpful, because I am a big fan of everything kind of looking uniform and wanting everything to match up. And so I want everything to fit nicely and me be able to see it nicely. So I've gone ahead and I've adjusted all my columns so that they fit nicely. But I noticed that because Quiz 1 and Quiz 2 are a whole lot shorter titles than Homework 1 and Homework 2, these cells and these columns are a lot shorter than these. So it just is not even in uniform. So maybe you want to rotate the text to help you with that. So I'm going to highlight this text here. And there's two ways to get to this. So again, most of the things you're going to need is going to be in this toolbar here, but you can always find the things that you want under Format as well. But we're going to look here at this text rotation button. And if I click on this, I have some options. So right now, my text has no rotation, but I could flip it diagonally up. I can flip it diagonally down. I can flip it where it's stacked vertically. I could flip it where it's going up, and I can also rotate it down. Now I'm going to leave it rotated down. And again, I can adjust my size of my columns. And so now, because I've rotated that text, so it's all going to be the same width, it's going to bring all my scores together, and it's just going to make it a little bit easier to read. A couple of other options that I want to tell you about in formatting that I think could be really helpful. The first one is checkboxes. So let's say that students are doing an assignment that is a rough draft. And we just want to make sure that they have turned in that rough draft. There's no really grade for it. It's just that I want to make sure that they have turned it in. So you can put in something called check boxes. Check boxes will let you just check things off so that you can keep track of it. Insert, and then I'm going to go to checkbox. And you'll notice that it puts a little checkbox here. And then if I want that to be in all the cells, I can click on this little circle at the edge of my cell and just drag and drop until it fills it all in. And then I can just check off a cell when I've completed it, and it just allows me to kind of keep a checklist. The other thing that I want to show you under formatting is conditional formatting. So this is a way that you can kind of visually be able to see some things through color within your data. So I'm going to highlight the data that's in this unit test. And I'm going to go to Format and Conditional Formatting. And there's a couple of options. So first of all, we start with a single color. So I've highlighted my range. So that's the first thing you have to do is have a range of data. And I want to say if format cells if, and I want to say that if the data is greater than or equal to 60, then I want it to be green. And I'm going to say done. And then I'm going to add another rule, and I want the same data, and I want to say then if it is less than 60, I want it to be red. So now that I've put in my conditional formatting, you can see that it is green if anything was above 60, and it is red if it is below 60. So that just can kind of give me a visual of maybe who is doing well on the exam or who did well on the exam and who needs some extra help. There's another way that we can conditionally format. And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to do Format and Conditional Formatting again. And this time, I'm going to delete these off. And I am going to do add another rule. And this time I want to do color scale. So this will actually allow me to do more of a scale or a blend of colors. So right now it's set to go from this green down to white. Okay, I'm going to click here to actually choose the format that I want. And I want it to go from red to green, red being my lowest score and green being my highest score. And then I'm going to set this medium value, this midpoint percentage as 50. And so now when I do that, if we look over here, we can see that we start with our highest grades being the darkest green, and then it fades out to our lowest grades being the darker red color. And so you just kind of are able to see kind of a pattern of going from high to low. So those are two ways that you can conditionally format cells so that they can be color coded to help you have a more visual aspect of your data.